Have you ever looked up at the stars and wondered, what is this all for? It is a question that hums in the background of our lives. We chase after dreams. We build careers. We seek love and happiness. And yet there are moments when we pause. We look at everything we have built, and we wonder if any of it truly matters in the grand scheme of things. This question is not new. It is as old as humanity itself. Long ago, a wise teacher, a philosopher king, wrestled with this very same puzzle. He wrote down his thoughts in a book that has puzzled and inspired people for thousands of years. A book called Ecclesiastes. It doesn't offer easy answers. Instead, it invites us on a journey into the heart of what it means to be human. This ancient text is a surprising source of advice for our modern world. In an age of endless information and constant pressure to achieve more, Ecclesiastes speaks with a refreshingly honest voice. The teacher was not someone who simply guessed about life. He was a scientist of the soul. He conducted experiments in living to test every possible source of meaning. First, he turned to pleasure. He told himself, "Come now, I will test you with pleasure to find out what is good." He denied himself nothing his eyes desired. For a time, it worked. He found joy in his activities, but soon the novelty wore off. When the party was over, the silence returned, and the same deep questions lingered in his mind. He concluded that a life dedicated only to chasing pleasure was also hevel, a fleeting vapor that could not provide lasting substance. Next, he pursued great works. He became the ultimate achiever. He built magnificent houses, planted lush vineyards, and created beautiful parks and gardens for himself. He amassed incredible wealth, with servants, herds, and flocks larger than anyone before him. He had built an empire of his own making, and yet, when he stepped back to survey all that his hands had accomplished, he felt a profound emptiness. He realized that one day he would have to leave it all behind for someone else, someone who had not worked for it. His great achievements, too, were like chasing the wind. Disappointed by pleasure and accomplishment, the teacher then dedicated himself to the pursuit of wisdom and knowledge. He saw that wisdom is better than foolishness, just as light is better than darkness. It offers a clearer path and helps one navigate the challenges of life. However, he also observed a troubling truth. The same fate awaits everyone. The wise person and the fool both face mortality. They both die and are eventually forgotten. This realization was a heavy blow. Even the noble pursuit of wisdom could not conquer the finality of death. In the end, even great knowledge felt like a form of hevel. After exploring the limits of human effort, the teacher has a breakthrough. He shifts his perspective from what he can control to what he can observe. He looks at the world again and sees not just random chaos, but a divine rhythm. This leads to one of the most famous passages in all of literature. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. There is a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to be silent and a time to speak. This is not a passive acceptance of fate. It is a profound recognition that life is a complex tapestry woven with threads of both sorrow and joy. This idea of seasons teaches us to be present in the moment we are in. In our modern rush, we are often trying to fast forward through the difficult times. We want to skip the weeping and get straight to the laughing. But the teacher suggests that each season has its purpose. Learning to embrace the season we are in, rather than constantly fighting against it, is a form of deep wisdom. So where can we find meaning in this world of constant change? The teacher's answer is surprisingly simple. He concludes that the best thing a person can do is to find satisfaction in their daily life. A person can do nothing better than to eat and drink and find satisfaction in their own toil. The taste of a good meal, the satisfaction of a job well done, the warmth of friendship, the beauty of a sunset. These simple, present-moment joys are presented as gifts from the hand of God. This is the hopeful turn in the book. After stripping away all the false promises of ultimate meaning, the teacher points us back to the ground beneath our feet. He reminds us that while we cannot control the great cosmic questions or the finality of death, we can control how we experience the here and now. The meaning of life is not found in some grand, distant achievement. It is found in the hundreds of small, tangible moments that make up our days. It's a call to mindfulness, to gratitude, and to appreciating the simple goodness available to us every day. True wisdom isn't about figuring everything out. It's about learning to live well within the mystery. As the teacher nears the end of his reflections, his message becomes clearer and more focused. He has traveled to the edges of human experience, from the highest peaks of wisdom to the deepest valleys of despair. He has concluded that much of life is a mystery, a vapor we can never fully grasp. But this does not lead him to nihilism or a belief that nothing matters. Instead, it leads him to a profound and liberating conclusion. Since we cannot control the grand outcome of our lives or understand every cosmic question, we should focus on what we can do. We should focus on our character and our relationship with the divine. It is a pivot from the external world to the internal soul. His final advice is remarkably straightforward. Fear God and keep His commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. This might sound old-fashioned, but the meaning is timeless. Fear God does not mean to be terrified. It means to live with a sense of awe, reverence, and humility before the great mystery of existence. It is about recognizing that we are not the center of the universe. Keeping the commandments is the practical application of this awe, living a life of integrity, justice, and kindness toward others. It's about living as if our choices matter, even when we can't see the final result. This conclusion brings the two halves of the book together beautifully. On one hand, we have the reality of Hevel. Life is fleeting, confusing, and often feels meaningless. On the other hand, we have the simple, daily gifts of joy: food, work, and relationships. How do we live with this tension? The teacher's answer is to anchor ourselves in something beyond the chaos. By living with reverence for God and a commitment to doing good, we find a purpose that does not depend on our success, our wealth, or even our wisdom. This way of life gives weight and meaning to the fleeting moments, turning them from a puff of smoke into a sacred offering. Ultimately, the book of Ecclesiastes is a gift. It gives us permission to ask the hard questions. It validates our feelings of confusion and our search for meaning, but it doesn't leave us there. It guides us away from the frantic chase for things that can never truly satisfy and points us toward a quieter, more profound way of living. It teaches us to embrace the seasons of our lives, to find joy in the ordinary, and to live with humility and integrity. The journey of the teacher becomes our own journey. We learn that while we may never solve the ultimate puzzle of life, we can live it wisely, gratefully, and meaningfully, one day at a time. And that is a wisdom that never fades.